Mike said no.
Hey, Ashraf.
Hello.
Hi, Ashraf.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Chris. Why
I
did
was
you
trying
say?
to build suspense, but Tommy jumped on camera early. Gosh, Tommy.
I was gonna have a heart attack, man. Like, guys, I see you here.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be talking?
Build suspense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
wait
something.
till this is a part 2, one of its part 2 series.
We are really excited to have you guys here in our event in Canada.
Happy to be here.
We're happy to be here.
Amazing what the interwebs do to to location travel.
Exactly. Hopefully this year we will have you physically here presenting in Toronto. Hopefully, fingers.
I'd love to get there. I've never been to Toronto. I would love to go.
We're close enough. Okay. Yeah.
Don't come in the winter though.
No. I already live in cold enough weather as it is.
Wisconsin and Chicago, so.
Oh, okay. So you're not far away from the trouble here.
It's not that. Yeah, it's not that out of hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're still pretty cold. We're getting a cold blast right now. Yesterday it was like 28 degrees. Today it was like 10. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 50. It can't make up its mind right now.
Good for you.
We'll take it.
Yeah, it's still pretty cold here.
I don't think there's a choice in there, Mike.
I mean, I can work remote anywhere now.
I'll just. This is true. It's true.
That's my thing right now. Recently, it's like, do I really need to live here?
Is that your jam?
I was talking with Daniel Marsh, Patrick, and he was like, "Yeah, I just decided I was going to move to New Zealand. Like, no premeditated it." He's like, "Yeah, I just decided I'd go there. It fits my vibe. I'm going to move." So he's like, "We just left." That was amazing. It's like, all right, cool. So maybe I should just leave.
Where's he from originally?
London.
Oh.
He's like, that doesn't fit my vibe. I like my vibe in New Zealand now.
That is a huge upgrade. London's like Seattle, from my understanding, where it's just
always
all
cloudy
the time. But the summers are
amazing.
Like you can't beat them.
Nope.
Yeah. My brother's out there. So
I mean, that's Wisconsin. Not bad. Summers are not bad.
Exactly. Summer in Canada is perfect too. So.
Yeah, it's great.
But just 3 months. It's just 3 months out of 12 months. So.
It's the other 12 months
from Chicago goes to vacation. You guys advertise enough in Chicago. Come to Wisconsin. It's not that bad, really.
There's lower taxes than Chicago. That's what our thing is.
Cool.
Seriously, the amount of advertising I see for Wisconsin, not even joking, is crazy at this time of year.
The amount of businesses that we're getting like just across the borderline. You drive on the roads going north. It was like nothing for the longest time, and all of a sudden, like all these businesses just across the border are now popping up.
That's crazy.
Well, you're in a competitive market, right?
Well, and no one has to go to an office, so.
And you don't go to an office now anymore. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I'm going to breeze the cold tonight. I'm seeing a comedian tonight, so I'm going downtown.
Oh, man. Tommy's going to get ideas for the podcast. I got some jokes to try on you guys, like about data.
I don't think this guy. I'll
have to start bleeping out Tommy.
Oh, my gosh. What is this? Oh, he's got a soundboard.
Apparently, Mike just figured out a soundboard. You start bringing that to the show, it'll be interesting.
This is gonna be like a morning show, a morning radio show.
You wait, I'm gonna upgrade my little mixer here, and I'll get more sounds. You never know.
It's gonna be great. In the middle of one of Seth's great soliloquies, you're just gonna get an interruption of clapping.
Yeah, this is a National Weather Service announcement.
You were droning on, Seth. We had to cut you off. Then what's gonna happen is you're gonna force us to upgrade. Right?
No.
And it'll be a battle. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the whole show just devolves into nothingness.
Isn't it that what it is right now already? I don't know.
Depends on who you talk to, man.
Yeah. I'm more than happy for you to buy me a better background, Mike.
Oh boy. Pistachio cannolis. Here we go. We should have renamed the podcast. That should have been the beginning of it.
I thought my idea was great though. Coffee and calculated columns.
It was a good idea. Just need to refine it a little bit. It's all right. It's good.
It's all right.
I think
All
we're
right.
on time, guys. Now.
Yeah, I guess we should.
We are on time.
I think we already did start.
Yeah, we are so excited and happy to have those gentlemen here in this event, and it will be very exciting session and lots of fun. And as you see, the fun started even before the session starts. So thank you, everyone, and the floor for yours, guys.
All right, we'll take it from here.
Thank you,
Mike.
There we go. Welcome to the Explicit Measures Podcast live with the Global Power Platform Bootcamp. All right, here we go.
I thought you were going to start rapping.
I do not rap.
You know,
we've got music in the background now. We can have a little bit of fun with this. It's enjoyable. We're going to jump in and have a blast tonight. Happy Saturday. I guess this is Seth's thing. You got to say it, Seth.
Happy Saturday. Or
Happy
something like
Saturday.
that. The Tuesday rolls off a lot better.
Tuesday rolls off a little better. Welcome everyone. Thank you all very much. This is Tommy, Mike, and Seth. We are just goofballs talking about data things. We're here to have a blast and laugh, have some fun, answer questions. So feel free to drop them in the chat window. We will answer your questions about the podcast, kind of what we're all about. But we're just going to hang out with you guys. Tommy, give us kind of an intro. Like, where'd the podcast come from? Give us some background here.
Yeah, so let's use some structure. We'll actually use a few slides.
Maybe some structure here.
Yeah. So just a few things about us. My name's Tommy Puglia. I'm a Microsoft MVP. Had the honor of being one since 2019. Currently lead the Chicago Power BI user group, and like many of you here, just love the Power BI platform. Love talking about it, and it's an honor to be here. So
he's also the best looking one of the bunch. You can tell by the pictures
sure.
here below. Yeah,
I'm the only one with hair, so
that's true. And I'm losing mine. You should have put us in order of hair.
More formal intros. I suppose that's warranted if folks don't know who we are. So my name is Seth Bauer. I also am a Microsoft MVP, going on 5 years. So that's fun and exciting. Love being part of that group. I partner with Mike at PowerBI.tips. Yep. We co-lead the Milwaukee Power BI user group. Member, obviously, of the Explicit Measures podcast that we started 84 episodes or 5, depending on
how you're counting.
How you calculate. And during my day job, I'm the director of business intelligence at Syndigo.
Name is Mike Carlo. I'm also Microsoft MVP. I own my own company. I am a contractor Power BI guy. I love what we do here, but I own a company that just does Power BI deployments. So I work with a lot of different companies, help them out. We've all been around since the very beginning. I think we all picked up Power BI from the very day one when it came out.
Yep.
So if you haven't been hired by Microsoft yet as an MVP, we're like the last couple ones that are around since the beginning. So we're still doing it. We love it. The community is amazing. We have a lot of fun with it. We rep the swag that we do all the time, having fun with that as well. So I work on the Power BI tips website with Seth. We just bring a bunch of community people in there to bring a bunch of great tools, tips. We have a ton of stuff. We do just a bunch of tools that are free, the theme generator, a number of other ancillary tools, a lot of articles that we put out. But we play with this tool all day, every day. We work in Power BI, then we take vacations and breaks on weekends, and we also, for fun, play in Power BI. So that's kind of all of us in a nutshell.
I should mention I, too, have a job. I didn't mention that before. So
Tommy has a job, too. He makes money.
I also work, yes.
Tommy, where do you work? I'll let you throw it all in there.
Yeah. So that's all. No, I work. So
okay.
I work at company. So yeah, I guess about the podcast, and if you've never heard about us, and why? First off, why in the world would you listen to a Power BI podcast?
Another one. Right?
Another one
already. Yeah.
Right. Another one kind of thing, especially like on your drive. You want to listen to sports, you want to do your thing kind of thing. Well, we kind of changed it up a little, and just a few things about the podcast, where the origin of where we started. If you've been working Power BI for more than 30 days, you've realized really quickly that there are some things in Microsoft's documentation and blogs and articles and videos that will never be taught. And this is all the stuff that's around the tool, but not really of the tool. And that's like, you built a great report, you have your drill through, but nobody uses it, or people don't like it. Why wouldn't they like it? What is exporting data a bad thing? Are data flows a bad thing? How does that actually work? And it's all the conversations or the frustrations that you try to share with your spouse or your friends that they don't understand. that we've always had these conversations after our user groups, and we were just like, man, no one's talking about this, but everyone's talking about it, but it's not online. So we were like, we want to make a public forum for it.
Yeah, we've been a huge fan of some topics that we talk about regularly. Governance, right? There's a lot of things around governing of things in the Power BI ecosystem. You can take that a lot of different ways, a lot of different directions. So we discuss a lot of those kind of concepts. We talk about data flows, where they fit in your ecosystem. We talk about modeling, best modeling practices. We've done a number of talks around DAX. How did we learn DAX? What are our favorite functions? What are we using all the time? What are some things we don't use or we got tripped up on? So it's again, one of these kind of like great passive, I would say roughly entertaining and engaging. We try and laugh a lot and have fun with it. And, life's too short to be serious all the time.
Right. At the same time, right, we try to provide a little value, right? The vast majority of the content out there is mostly based on technical teaching, right? So to resonate, what Tommy was saying before, the implementation part is kind of underrepresented and sometimes the most challenging. So I think a lot of the precursor to the podcast origination came because the three of us were having these side conversations. Yep. And during the conversations, you always have these aha moments. And ironically enough, when we have our normal podcast, about halfway through, one of us has an aha moment. And they're like, oh, hey. And the implementation of being able to take a lot of the technical things that we learn about Power BI and hear about other people's experiences, hear about some of the challenges. We talk a lot in that area, but we do address some of the technical aspects as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is there's a best practice in some areas of Power BI. Should always use an explicit measure, that's the name. But there's a lot of things that are a little more ambiguous, like how is the best way to share? And there's not enough arguments in the Power BI space that we kind of found out because we all had different experiences coming from different ways. Like, why would you do it that way? That makes no sense to me. And having those conversations. So that's really
like 90% of what I do with Seth. Seth's like, what the heck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Why are you even like that?
So yeah, we call it the Power BI water cooler. It's more about the why than the how. So for any questions, if you're asking us how to do something, I don't think we can help. Well, we can help you afterwards, but so
we'll definitely give you an opinion. That's for sure. Give you an opinion on what we've done or what we experienced. We've done a lot of stuff across the space, right?
Yeah.
Being in this for 7, has it been out for 7 years? 7 years? I don't even remember now. 2015. I have to do math. 7 years since we've been doing this for 7 years. So we have some even a blind squirrel finds a nut. I guess is that how it works? Is that the phrase?
I think so.
Awesome. So let's get into some questions. Is there any questions from coming through? Yeah, questions, measures. From Henry asks, why don't they belong in any table? Oh, they don't belong to any table, but why do we have to attach them to a table? If so, which table is the best table? All right, argue.
Tabular editor, display folders.
So I would say, from a measure standpoint, right? Measures are always picking up something from a column somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of thoughts around where measures go. So let me preface this by one thing I'd like to talk about is the model and the thin reports. So a design practice that I really like right now is build a Power BI, a PBX file just for the data modeling piece, and then attach a thin report to that data model. It makes it very easy when you have a larger team, when you're editing the data model itself versus the thin report. And the reason I bring that up is because now you can have measures in two places. You can have measures in the data model itself, or you can create measures in the thin report, the other side. And so those measures might not want to be promoted into the, let's call it the broader data model of what's going on here. So where do you put the measures? In tables, I like to put the measures that are only related to a single report in the thin report. And I typically like to put them in the table where they most likely make sense, right? So if I'm picking up a column from something, if there's a sales column, a sales numbers, sales, I don't know, I guess total sales, whatever, and you're making a sum of total sales, whatever that may be, I think it makes sense to logically put it in the place where the sales number or the fact table lives. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll build a star schema. So we have dimensions and then filtering down to the facts. So most of my measures will go in just the fact tables, and a lot of the dimension tables are just text values. So that's how I do it.
We talked about this at one point in time, too, and we may end up saying that a lot. So if you guys want to go check out the other episodes, feel free.
Tommy, go find the episode.
But you used
minute 55.
I recall, Mike, you had a diatribe on like you used to be the guy that liked the overall measures table,
Totally.
And then you shifted back to having measures within each table.
I like it now.
Can you walk through why you made that transition?
That's a great transition there. So I used to build a single table. It was like I'd go into Power Query, I'd make a blank table with like one row in it, and then I'd hide that singular column, and then I would just add a bunch of measures to a measures table. So I'd have a table with just measures in it. I liked it, but at the time when I was using it, there was no ability to create folders of measures. It was just not something that was available. And so at some point in time, Microsoft added into the data modeling experience, you could go into the relationship view, down to the advanced section or into the properties of the measure, and you could add a folder name. So now I can bucket my measures. So the thing was, I have a table with 25 columns. I don't want to keep scrolling because everything's alphabetical. All the measures and all the columns would be in alphabetical order. I wanted to group the measures kind of towards the top. So using folders and now using more advanced tools like Tabular Editor allow me really fast to be able to build 4, 5, 6 measures at a time and drop them all in the same folder. And for me, that just seems really organized. I really like that experience. And so now I've moved away from building a measure table specifically to just doing it inside the model, if it makes sense to have it available to multiple reports. The thin report, and the only downside of thin reports is you can't actually do a folder in the thin report yet. Hopefully they'll let us have that in the future. But in the thin reports, you have measures there as well.
I followed the same path as you, where I was creating a table with one row. That's the only time that column was an appropriate name for a column. Yep. And I would create multiple measure tables basically to organize it that way. But once you were able to easily create display folders, that's the best way to go. And especially you can also put your columns in there too. So that organization is essential. The only reason I also switched to was I was like, well, I initially measure tables would not support Q&A or insights. And so I was like, well, I don't want that to happen because I want to use the Q&A. But then when I realized nobody's using Q&A, it doesn't matter. So, but now if you still want to use measure tables, you can. There's no performance issues, and Q&A does support it now. So.
Yeah, one of the caveats in here as well, right? Because we talk about those sometimes is when you're embedding, right? That using measures in thin reports sometimes can get you in trouble, right? Because an application may not understand how to go back and get the measure. So typically when I'm creating measures, unless it's in an internal kind of thin report, I'm typically building them back in the main data model. Henry asks another good question. Henry, thanks for the questions. Thin reports. I don't know if that vernacular is actually out in the wild or we created that because we tend to.
I think you did.
Well, I heard it first used from Reed Havens. Reed Havens was the gentleman who said thin reports to me, and it makes total sense.
Yeah.
The model and the thin report, because there's technically no data model in the thin report. I've just adopted the vernacular, and we use it all the time now. So like we think it's a good, solid design experience. I don't think you're hearing Microsoft say it yet from their documentation. We'll see how long it takes them to catch on, and when we know we've made it when Microsoft documentation starts talking about thin reports.
So the base description is right when you're creating a desktop file and you publish that Power BI report to the service, you're publishing both the model and the report. But when you connect to a Power BI data source, right, data set, that is what we're calling the thin report because you're relying on a model that you're trying to extend, much in the same way you'd build a larger model in analysis services tabular. Same difference with Power BI on the back end, but we reference those reports that are connecting to that model that's already deployed. We call those thin reports as just a way to easily identify them versus things that would be deployed along with the model, especially when we're kind of increasing into large models where the vast majority or all of the reports would be connecting to a source that's already deployed, and you don't have any reporting, tabs on that deployed data set. It's purely just the data set, and you're plugging the other reports into that.
Awesome.
Just a question here. Sorry, gentlemen, to interrupt you. I think in the roadmap for Microsoft is to give the ability to create the data model and the data set on the service. Then we can just limit the desktop.
One of our favorite topics with Tommy.
No,
of
seriously,
worms,
like,
baby.
what stops them from doing that? Actually, like I
So-
still don't understand.
Losing all their customers.
Well, so
No, seriously, guys. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
episode number 1, right?
Number
episode,
one.
Go listen to episode number 1.
Well, actually,
I-
don't. It wasn't that good, but just
Yeah, the audio might have been a little bit off. You know, we're still working out the kinks, right? Maybe listen to it, don't watch it, right? You know, episode number 1, we had this exact topic come up, and I wanted to make sure that I was very clear. Like I am of the proponent here. I'm seeing the writing on the wall on this one way early, right? I definitely think this one's coming. You look at what Power Apps happened. So look at the pattern that happened with Power Apps, right? Power Apps was originally released. It came with a desktop application. Very quickly, Microsoft said, nope, we don't want to do that. We're only going to support the web application. And they deprecated the desktop application for Power Apps. They basically got rid of it. And they made everything in the browser. So now if you build Power Apps, yeah, it's sometimes a little bit clunky. They're getting better with the pro tooling for that experience. It's not the best yet, but you pretty much can do 90% of what you're doing there in the service, basically the website. And Excel's going that way, Word's going that way. You know, almost everything else that you see, SharePoint is like an absorber for all of this. Teams is this monolithic thing that does everything all inside like web page based stuff. So I think the trend is there. That's the direction they're going to go. I can't take on a Mac user because they have a Mac and they can't build in desktop. So like there's a whole list of users that are just stuck and can't do data things. I'll pause there. I have more comments, but I'll let Tommy and Seth jump in here too.
I just
Seth,
want
I'll
to
let
hear
you
what
go.
Tommy has to say.
Okay,
So
Tommy, go ahead, Tommy.
there are so many fundamental differences between Power Apps and that build and what you're supposed to do with it because it's all connected to live data, more or less. You have to be online at all times. With Power BI, that's not the case. The other thing is too, I know I'm fighting a losing battle here. I'll say that up front. I know. I just don't want. Power Apps. Power Apps on the desktop was just a better experience because it was an application. Yes, Microsoft List is now on a web app. Kudos, kind of thing. So, so Power BI should be great.
Should be too.
But yeah. So, but no, the difference is with Power BI desktop, with all of the, not just the querying the model, you can do that in data flows. We know that. It's still not as good as experience on desktop. And even though they update more features on data flows than they do in Power Query, it's still much better.
Okay.
No, they can update all the features, but it still loads slower.
But Tommy brings up an interesting point here, you know, Mike, because you even think about all the stuff that we're asking for in terms of like local files and things that we can bolt into the PBIX and like
totally. Where
does that go? Right? Like you're removing how much of that capability do you nuke if you just go straight? Oh, I always connected.
So where are our biggest pain points, right? One of our big pain points with desktop files and how we have to manage them is right. Where do we keep them? We need to hard copy them in case something blows up. But realistically, I mean, if I'm publishing reports into the service, when a report's in the service, how often am I actually going into the service and fixing a file in the service that's broken? It's pretty doggone reliable. So I think there's becoming less and less reliability or reliance on having that file. Now, imagine, again, I'm painting a bigger picture here. Imagine SharePoint comes into play here a little bit. And again, it probably won't be called SharePoint. It's probably going to be its own thing, right? Let's just stick blob storage behind every single report publish you do or every single report change you have, right? So imagine the same experience where I can do an Excel file in OneDrive. Every time I make a change, it's storing the diffs for me. It's giving me that file. I can go back and see the version of that file over and over again.